Okay, now as promised from my last video, let's talk about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League spoilers. I'm gonna do this from the perspective of one of my favorite things in the world, Batman. I want to start by framing it as a Batman review, so to speak, because there are some interesting things to talk about here, and yeah, it might get a little spicy. As you guys know, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, played through it. Didn't like it. Had a couple of things I liked, but ultimately the live service stuff that brought it all down and the story is what disappointed me the most. And a big part of that, yes, of course, is bats. Surprise, surprise. There's so much to it, right? There's the fact that, bringing this Batman back from the dead, metaphorically, so to speak, from after Arkham Knight. It was something I was open to as someone who reads comic books, loves comic books. Arcs are ended and they seem great, and then the character is brought back. These things happen, and interesting things can come out of bringing them back. And that's what I was rooting for here. But I didn't get it. There are glimmers of good ideas though, right? That's what like fucking kills me. Is right. So you in the start. So I'm spoiling the whole thing. I didn't do like a spoiler warning, but this is a spoiler talk. So whatever, you've been warned. You don't care. So you start out and you go to the Arkham, the Batman Museum, the Batman Experience in Metropolis, and you get kind of this quick lore dump of the Arkham games. But it's Batman's first appearance here that I think is really, really inspired. This is a Batman that is brain controlled by a brainiac. And with that comes a scary Batman. It puts you in the perspective of being hunted by the Batman. Absolutely brilliant. Yes, it's done in a super DC comic booky way, but I don't care. I don't care that they show Batman murdering people here, specifically because it's done for an interesting impact. And with the story, with him being, brain controlled, mind controlled, it works. And it really, really hits here as you go through the museum and you see guards and stuff taken out in Batman fashion, right? You're going around, you're seeing guards with batarangs in the side of their freaking heads. You see guards strung up, hanging from the ceiling. Then you see person-sized vent shafts with the vent open, and you're like, oh shit. That's a cool feeling to revisit that Arkham-ness from that perspective. I think is really inspired, and I think it's honestly probably one of the more fun ideas the game had. It was a brief thing, it didn't overdo it, but it was cool as hell, and it was a good way of acknowledging the Batman from the past, from this universe. It starts strong. I mean, from there, you get the communications, like you hack the communications of Brainiac and like his whatever, and you hear Batman basically over the radio the entire game. The chatter of this game, the ambient chatter, where in the Arkham games, Arkham City, you're gliding over Arkham City and you hear criminals being like, is the Bat gonna show up? Now you hear Kevin Conroy Batman basically bootlicking for Brainiac. And it's interesting, right? Because again, it's mind-controlled Batman, and what you get here is Batman at his worst. You get all the Justice League characters at their worst, but you get Batman at his worst in terms of being overprepared, but being smug about it. Get like almost too authoritative with it. It's interesting. And to hear that through a lot of the game and hear Kevin Conroy have some fun playing a villainous, smug, evil Batman, I think is pretty cool. You can clearly tell he's having some fun with it. And I think there was something there. I think there was an angle there. I think there could have been an interesting story too, where it's the Suicide Squad trying to do something, and they are being hunted and taunted by actual Batman. Actual Batman being like, yeah, I locked you guys up a million times. I'm gonna get you this time too. So the whole Brainiac thing is another way to do it. But for me, it all really collapses with killing him. Of course. But before I even go there, like to double back, like him coming out of Arkham Knight retirement or whatever he set up at the end of Arkham Knight and just coming back and being traditional Batman once again, but having his identity out there, and just him, Superman's here. So he comes out of retirement, shakes hands with Superman, and now he's part of the Justice League. That's a quick, hand-wavy way to do it. And if it feels that way on the surface, fine. But I would have liked more into how that came to be, because I think where I feel almost like the most like entitled as a Batman fan or an Arkham fan, is that like I think we deserved a little more explanation as to him coming back. Other than just, he's back in like a very quick Justice League hand wavy way. He's back. It's not enough, dude, but it's really not enough with him being killed. That is my big thing. But here is my hot take. Buckle up. You can kill Batman. I want you to kill Batman. Killing Batman can be incredible. Batman has been killed many times, but you have to do it in service of a good story. You have to have something behind it. And my problem with Justice League, with Batman's death here, it's the same as the death of all the other characters in the game, all the other Justice League members. It's done with nothing. No commitment, no excitement, no comedy, nothing. It literally, every Justice League member you kill, they like fall over and like it's like a whimper and it's bullshit. And I say it's bullshit. What bothers me specifically about it, instead of just to write it off as bullshit, is the fact that it's not really done with any commitment or purpose towards anything. All of them just slump over and die, and like after getting shot up a bunch, and it's not done for comedy. It's not done for like an edgy Suicide Squad bit, really. And it's not like epic or cool, like holy shit, we killed someone from the Justice League. It just happens. It feels weird. It feels like something was like lost in the writing room, or they had to make a change somewhere. And it doesn't matter. Don't tell me like there's like something. I know there's theories that like, oh, they're clones of Brainiac. Like they're actually still alive out there, so they didn't want to like totally commit. Doesn't matter. It was totally wasteful here. But specifically with Batman, it felt like a waste. And that's interesting because he was the only one that got like somewhat of a cutscene, somewhat of like a something to it. But that cutscene didn't really do too much for me. But what really didn't is the boss battle, man. I mean, all the boss battles for all the Justice League members, I did not like. But for Batman specifically, at first I was like, oh, cool. It's like, you know, we're doing the Scarecrow Fear Toxin boss battle thing, and you're getting a big evil Batman swiping at you, and you're jumping off. So mechanically, it is so lame, and it goes on for so long that it loses the impact of like, wow, holy shit, this is cool. Because you get that at first. But then after going through that, I was like, this is kind of like a bullshit fight. I'm going to end this, and then it's going to zap back into reality, and we're going to do something else cool with Batman, right? No, it fast forwards through it completely, and you get out of that like mind trip sense, and Batman is dead. Or not dead, but like pretty close to death, so then they can, you know, finish him off in the cutscene we'll talk about in a little bit. That boss battle and all of that is another example of like the creativity and everything like almost being there. You have Fear Toxin Batman staring you in the face. It's a direct reference to Arkham Knight. You have the violins, dun 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 dun. You have it all, but then it just goes on too long and feels like a video game, like how a lot of Suicide Squad really feels. And that's like another example in like a long line of things in the game that really disappointed me. And it's a shame too, because there is good stuff there. And that's what I find so frustrating, is that you see the glimpses, you see the glimmer of Rocksteady and what you know they are capable of as a team. You see the Daily Planet, which in my opinion, like the environment, the interior is like a work of art. The detail there, the journalist's desks, Perry White's office, the sun cascading through the windows, the mail tubes running throughout the place. It is over the top, but specifically in that stylized Arkham way, but in a Metropolis way. It feels like a next step for Rocksteady. You can see where this is like, oh, this is like Rocksteady doing Metropolis. This is them doing a new DC thing. You see glimpses of that. You have Gizmo and Toyman in this game. Cool DC, deeper cuts for some people. And then, you know, they're kind of just turned into glorified vendors, which sucks. But they have nice little spins on the characters, voice acting, performance. All that is there. Some of the quality is there, but it goes nowhere. You have King Shark Green Lantern, just such a fun moment. A moment that really felt like it's like trying to embrace this game's sort of Suicide Squad zaniness, even though it never really commits to that either. You get a fun moment with King Shark getting the ring. And, you know, with the ring, there's some like questionable lore explanations like how that can actually work. but it's fun and cool enough that I actually didn't care. In the moment, I was like, wait a minute, how does that make sense? But then just seeing it, I was like, oh, that's fun. That's cool. So they have that. Amanda Waller versus Lex Luthor, and then like them almost kind of having a really fun tit for tat thing. That the way they portrayed it here, if you like really pay attention, you listen to some of their dialogue as you walk away, there's something there to them. But then you have the execution of a lot of this stuff. Amanda Waller herself here. I love Deborah Wilson. She's getting a little oversaturated. She's in a lot of video games, but I still really like her. And I think she's a good choice for Amanda Waller, but the writing and the presentation of her didn't work for me. This Amanda Waller came off far too reactionary and never really felt like she had a plan, which is Amanda Waller's thing. Did I miss something here? But it's funny, like if you read anything or if you ask anyone, like Amanda Waller is like, there is hype behind that character. And I feel like this version of her did not meet that hype at all. And then what really took me out of it, and I mentioned this a little bit in, I think, the Before You Buy video, is when the story actually pivots to start explaining the end game. That drives me nuts, that type of thing, where you can clearly tell a story is doing backflips and like, doing gymnastics to try and fit into explaining why you're going to continue to play the game after you beat the story. And not, it's a video game. I get it. It's a product. There has to be something. But like, it's so shitty here, and it totally undoes the whole thing. Kill the Justice League. An incredible premise. Something that could be monumental and a lot of fun. Right? I talked about this in the Before You Buy too, but Kill the Justice League is such a bold idea, statement, knowing it's the Suicide Squad. Clear direction and confidence can tell a really, really fun story, a good comic book story. Some casual fans are going to get really upset that all the Justice League members are being killed, but it's in the title. It's happened before. It's going to happen again. Watch more than just a DC animated movie. Read a book. But the Kill the Justice League idea is really just wasted potential with just how all the Justice League characters are killed. The boss battles are not very exciting, and it just doesn't feel very meaningful. There's glimmers there with, say like Boomerang having a vendetta against the Flash, of course, Harley Quinn with Batman, and like if you played the DLCs and you really paid attention to Arkham, like her killing Batman, that is a little bit of a resolution to an arc for her, but like it's like a nothing. It's not really anything. And what you ultimately get is something that just rings hollow. And you, again, can almost see where it's going, right? Like you have these great versions, or these potentially great versions of these characters. From what we saw of Wonder Woman, awesome. But then like you have the Justice League members, Brainiac's mind control is them at their worst. You have a Barry Allen that's really quippy and annoying. You have a John Stewart Green Lantern that literally the only things he conjures in the entire game is guns and bombs. Not a very creative Green Lantern. You have a Batman that's like at his most like bootlicking and weird and evil. You have like really just going into his dark side. You have a Superman that is just smug and kind of feels more like Bizarro. Good idea, but then the boss battle and the killing them, it just doesn't land. I am so upset that the coolest part of killing the Justice League in this game was not even done by you. It's by Superman killing Diana, killing Wonder Woman. That was the only part, that was the only boss battle, the thing that seemed awesome. And you weren't even engaging in it. You were a bystander. So again, ultimately what I'm trying to come around to, and it's especially with Batman being killed on a park bench, is that you can kill Batman. You can shoot him in the face, and I will sit there and watch with a smile if you can tell an interesting story. If something compelling, something interesting, something different can come from it. But unfortunately here, it didn't. And when you compound it with the fact that it is also bringing back a Batman that like they kind of retired, it just makes it worse. And then, of course, the Kevin Conroy thing. A lot of people are acknowledging this game ruined my childhood. It ruins Kevin Conroy's legacy. I don't totally agree with that because Kevin Conroy's having fun here. He loved the work. He's doing the work here, and I will happily always listen to that work. I think this game does a disservice really to really all the work that people put into crafting the Batman Arkham Batman. To me, it doesn't take those games away. I will always love those games. In fact, I re-downloaded Arkham Knight and I'm playing it on my Steam Deck, but I'm also watching Justice League Unlimited again. But hey, like these things, when they fail to meet your expectations or they're a big disappointment, they push you to realize what you do like and what you do want from things that you enjoy. And that's why in my Suicide Squad videos, I took the time to talk about why I didn't like the game, what little parts I did like. I tried to dissect it because even when a game is bad, I think just saying it's trash, it sucks, doesn't really help. And when you can actually pick it apart and talk about what you don't like, it helps you realize what you do really like. And what I really love more than anything is a good Batman story, or really a good DC comic story. And I really expected more here because, number one, it took them a really long time to work on this. It's Rocksteady, so you have like a higher standard of expectations. But really, it was just like to see them stick the landing on the concept or on a story, whatever. They could have actually totally wimped out and have you not kill the Justice League. But if it's still made for a good, fun adventure and a good story, I would have been in. But this game ended with a wet fart, a total whimper, to try and pivot and explain itself into being a live service game and how you're going to play the end game, to just wasting creating a Justice League and then just killing them and not really getting any entertainment value out of it. Like I said, all of them just died. There was nothing cool. There was nothing epic. There was nothing funny about any of it. They didn't commit to anything here. And I say that because like these are the people that killed the Joker. Do you remember how Arkham City ended? You like maybe you just had to be there, but like experiencing that totally in a bubble, in a vacuum, whatever, for the first time when that game came out, that ending with Gordon being like, "What happened?" and Batman walking with Joker's body. I'm getting the goosebumps right now just talking about it. That's good shit. And you don't have anything like that here. And like I actually it's so funny to hear me like I'm getting sad just talking about it. But it did wrap up, and I want to wrap up. Like it did have a nice, good tribute to Kevin Conroy at the end. Kevin Conroy and his Batman, with Lois Lane reading that speech, those words that were left behind by Batman, that as someone who has been a fan for a long time, just like a sentence in, I was like, oh man, this is one of Kevin Conroy's famous quotes. Kevin Conroy is just really good with words and is on record saying some great things about life and the character, what have you. And to hear one of his biggest ones here was nice. It made me happy. We know that more Kevin Conroy Batman is coming. Suicide Squad isn't the last thing from Kevin Conroy. And, I don't care either way, really, because I'll always have that voice. I'm always going to have the Batman animated series. Even if Batman animated series was like erased or like my DVDs were lost in a fire or something today, I have his voice in my head when I see a picture of Batman, when I read Batman in a comic book. I have the comfort of his Bruce Wayne. I have the mysteriousness of his Batman voice. Like I have all that with me, and I'm grateful for that. And no game or anything or internet discourse can take that away from me. This was a 20-minute video of me just trying to say, dude, if you're going to kill Batman and Superman, make it cool. Yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. That's what I've been kind of like holding in for a minute. So thanks for hearing me out. Like I said, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is a disappointment. If you are having fun with it and you like live service games and you're going to endlessly grind Brainiac with your friends in co-op, you do you. I'm not going to yuck your yum. I just do not like this formula, this style of game, especially when it muddles what could have been an interesting story somewhere down the line. So let me know what you think about the game. Let me know what you think about Kevin Conroy, all that, the story here, this Batman, this Superman, this King Shark Green Lantern. Let's talk about this stuff. And if you got this far, thank you for hearing me out. I really think talking about this stuff with nuance on YouTube is hard because people will listen to 2 minutes of the video and hear what they want to hear and think, you like the game. You said a good thing in the beginning. No, these things are more fun to talk out. This is why I'm here. This is why I've been doing this for more than like 10 years. So thank you for watching. Really, like genuinely. This is the stuff I feel the most passionate about. Because I never like rant or like I don't do a lot of videos on this channel like being angry at games or reviewing bad games. But when I feel it, I gotta talk. So clicking a like button does help me if you get it. But I've kept you long enough. I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. Subscribe because video games. Pizza's on me.